What's up guys, it's Captain S Production 72 and welcome to a review on a classic LEGO Star Wars set. This is set 7261 Clone Turbo Tank, released in 2005. And here we are reviewing it. And this is kind of topical in a way because one, it's the Revenge of the Sith 20th anniversary, which is cool getting this one out. And we're getting a new turbo tank this year, which recently got revealed, which is pretty cool, even though the set sucks. I will point in going forward, yes, that is 8038's box in the back, the Battle of Endor. I'm just that there, so, you know, there's something neat behind the back. I didn't really have any extra base plates. I don't, been a while since I've reviewed something this big with this setup. But it's just there anyway. Hopefully that's not too distracting. But yeah, it's a pretty cool set. 20 years old, you know, finally getting back into doing some of those, you know, 20th anniversary type stuff, you know, for Revenge of the Sith. Since LEGO didn't want to do anything good, I am. And a cool fact about this set is it had 2 minifigure selections, which we will be getting into. And, you know, depending on what year you bought this set. So this set was available throughout 2005 and 2006. And you have version 1 of the minifigures, which looks like this. So, version 1 looked like this, released throughout 2005. Light-up window, a clone trooper, a 327th clone trooper, Kashyyyk clone, aerial clone, battle droid with a cannon, and a regular battle droid. But if you bought versions of this set made in 2006, you got this. It's goodbye light up Mace Windu, but you do get an extra Phase 2 clone in there, which is kind of cool. They threw in an extra one. I feel like LEGO wouldn't go there today. They would just take away the thing and leave you without something. But let's get into these minifigures individually, and you'll go through them. Again, I'll point out which ones have changed throughout which versions. But I'm excited to get in and show you that really cool light-up minifigure. Let's get in there. And here we have the light-up Mace Windu, which is a pretty cool minifigure, something that LEGO were really only doing in 2005. Fun fact, out of all those minifigures, he is the only one-to-one minifigure that is one-to-one being re-released without the light-up lightsaber. Apart from Darth Vader, of course, the other two, the Obi-Wan Anakin, were released with variations, you know, missing headsets, stuff like that. Luminara wasn't redone to like 2011, and even that was a Clone Wars minifigure. But this minifigure is just perfect. Really do like it, you know, that classic look about the minifigure, which is something I really like. I love that era of LEGO Star Wars quite a bit. And of course, we got to turn out the light and test the light-up lightsaber. Let's get that going. Right, let's go. See how faint that actually is. If I remove the lightsaber blade, it becomes a lot more obvious. Certain colours worked better than others with this kind of thing. Unfortunately, red and green were the 2 colours that looked the best, so when I get around to reviewing those, you'll see that. But this, an amazing minifigure regardless. Let's get into the 2006 V2 version. So like I said, if you bought it in 2006, you got this version, which is cool because it gives you the ability to have the normal lightsaber, take the lightsaber away. You know, if you're using them in a mock or just a scene where you don't need the lightsaber or don't want the lightsaber, you have that option. And of course, you know, it's one of those chrome lightsabers. It's been a while since I've had one of those on camera. I really do like this minifigure quite a bit. This one is the more desirable one all these years later. I've seen this one sell for more than the light-up one has, which is kind of interesting. But again, personally, the set I have is a 2006 V2. So I got the extra clone trooper and the Windu with mine. But let's move on to the next minifigure. And of course, that next minifigure is the Phase 2 clone trooper, which this set was this minifigure's first appearance, at least in all white. Of course, they were in the battle pack and whatnot a couple of years later, but you get those binoculars. It's a black head underneath, nothing special. Put that back on. Got the megaphone style blasters we got back in the day. Back printing there. Pretty cool minifigure. And again, if you had the 2005 version, you got 1. 2006, you got 2 of these, which is kind of cool. That army building element that they added in if you are not getting the light-up window. Not something I would see them doing today. Let's jump onto that 327th Commander. And here is that 327th Commander, which, fun fact, back in the day, a lot of people thought this was Commander Cody's original minifigure, even though it isn't. And in the complete saga, they actually use this as Commander Cody. So like before, he's got the black head underneath. In fact, he's the exact same minifigure almost as the 327th Star Corps clone trooper that came out in 07. But with the addition of this cool pauldron, and this is like the first clone trooper that ever had a pauldron. Fun fact, none of them had them before this. So this minifigure is the start of that. In fact, he's the first clone trooper to have an extra accessory like that. No other clone trooper had anything like that until this one. And he's also the first clone trooper to dual wield anything in LEGO Star Wars with his pistols, which is a pretty fun fact. Let's get into the most iconic clone trooper though of this set, and one of the most iconic clone troopers. And next up, this is one of the most iconic LEGO Star Wars, maybe not minifigures, some people might argue with me on that, I would argue back, but this is the Kashyyyk Scout. And yes, it is basically just the prequels version of a Scout Trooper from Return of the Jedi, you know, even down to the mole being, you know, just in sand green. But this is a really cool minifigure, and, you know, very hard to come by now. I actually have 2 of these, which maybe that's my collection's, one of my collection's flexes, but off topic there. But this is a pretty cool minifigure, black head underneath, because this is a time before there was anything like that, and we didn't have, you know, this minifigure got updated in 2014 with the battle pack, but this is just still the cooler version. Accuracy wise, maybe not, but just in terms of cool minifigure, I love this one. Let's move on to the next, or maybe the 3rd coolest clone trooper in this set. That's debatable. And with the big blaster and the wings, here is the aerial clone trooper. Pretty cool minifigure. Other clone troopers that can fly essentially don't have this giant thing on the back, so this makes it unique. Love it. Got the little thrust bits there. Got the wings. They can move, but you have to be gentle because this is only held on by that very, very small bracket, so this can easily fall off. It's essentially just the white Phase 2 clone with these added wings, and you know what? I really like it quite a bit. I've got a couple of these in my army, but it's a cool minifigure, and this set is definitely one of those sets for having cool, unique minifigures that don't show up anywhere else. And that's something that's like one of its best parts. Let's move on to the battle droid, which they're alright. They're just battle droids. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but you do get 2 battle droids here. One with the 2 bent arms, because this is before we got the straight arm with the regular blasters, so it's megaphone blasters with translucent studs all round. This one's alright, but check this one. I feel like this B1 here should be saying, "Say hello to my little friend," because that's a cool blaster you get there. It does have these little feet that you can position, you know. It's kind of like a tripod type kind of weapon. You can get those out like that. It does look really nice with that big cone piece on the end. That just looks menacing. I'm a big fan of it. But yeah, that's something cool, because modern day LEGO Star Wars sets do come with like 2 droids to face off against a vehicle. And the droids never really have anything interesting to fight with. So I like the fact that it's never going to defeat the turbo tank, but it's pretty cool. And it's not the only thing they actually give you to fight the battle clone troopers with. You actually do kind of get equal vehicles in this. So let's jump into the smaller builds. And here is the cannon, or rather turret, you get for the droids. Because, yeah, I always thought this, until I actually owned this set, I always thought this went inside the turbo tank and it was for the clones. But no, it's for the droids. So you get 2 little bits to it. You get this bit here that can kind of move slightly. Again, I don't understand why. I suppose maybe a droid minifigure can hold on to this bit that moves. Also, this spins around the full lot. You can do that with it. You can't open it up like that. It does, however, like, you can detach it, but like, it's that thin, you're not going to get anything. It's got on one of these old brown plates, so the anxiety when moving that around. But yeah, it's really just for show purposes. You can elevate these. They elevate up and down together. You can take your battle droid here, the one that doesn't have the cannon, I suppose, and you could put him on there, and you know, he's just standing that. But yeah, when you're turning it, that is going to knock him off. Maybe here would work better. Yeah, but that's pretty cool little cannon in white. Not sure that really works for Kashyyyk, but you know, that's just a classic LEGO Star Wars thing. Let's jump on to the coolest side build though. And by far the coolest side build here, and the coolest bark speeder by far, is this one. It just looks amazing. It's got those dark red accents. It's got those kind of blue, blue missiles on the side, or cannons rather. It's got the blue thrust coming out the back. It just looks brilliant. And oh, by the way, printed printed. You get the ideas. These are all printed elements, and it just works brilliantly. And this just looks cooler than anything they would make today. I don't know what. Maybe it's just because I'm a guy who likes classic Lego Star Wars. But we're going to take the Kashyyyk trooper here, and he is going to drive our Bark Speeder. So take him just like so. Try to fumble around with him because of the blaster. But take him, put him in there, and he just looks the business in this thing. Very happy with it. Looks very good. You know, you can swoosh it around. Works quite well. You know, you can have it taking on the cannon if you wanted, but that's not what we're here to discuss, even though as cool as they are. Let's get into the turbo tank itself. And as I mentioned, it's a big boy. So this and the 2010 version are the two biggest of the turbo tanks, and they're amazing sets. You know, this is the first attempt, and I think they got it really well done, especially in 2005. There's so many features we can have a look at, so what we're going to do is we're going to start our way off at the front, which is this end, and work our way back. I'm going to look at all the different features that this thing can do. First, we're going to show off the suspension while we're in this kind of wide shot here. And this thing does really well. You can twist it to go around corners, you know, if you want to reverse back the way. And, you know, it's quite well done the way the suspension works. I will get in close and show a shot of that, you know, working. And, you know, it's really sturdy. You can shake it around. Nothing's going to happen. The panels aren't going to fall off. It has that kind of durability. Like I said, you can really go like that with it. And you're going to be great. I just knocked the Bark Speeder there. But let's get into the features, starting it up at that front. So at the front is pretty cool. We got some cannons here, which up at the front, they go up and down, just like that. Got these side bits, which you could also argue are lights, but I like to think of them as cannons. You got them on either side. You see that one. They do fall off quite easy. It's like a very basic design. There's nothing really holding them on, like as a basic stud connection. So fair enough. And you got these nice little windows that kind of wrap around the front. It does look quite nice. You can fold this panel down here, and I'm waiting for it to be slightly dusty in here. This one does kind of fold up. That one I'm talking about. You can fold it outside, and this one actually opens here as like a little hatch. So I suppose when all of these are closed up, you know, that functions as a little hatch. These panels are decently well connected. They're a little bit stiff at times, but you know, that gives us access to the interior at the front, which is almost nothing. Suppose you could take, you know, a lot of the inside guts in certain areas to this set are just for structural reasons. So, you know, you can, excuse me, put him in there, fold his pistols down, flip that up. And, you know, you got this little hatch, you can see him in there, which is pretty cool. You can also probably close the hatch and knock him in the head. That just looks cool, it's like he's peering out of it. Coming along up this front, here we're going to have a look at this feature on the top, which I always thought was pretty cool. This is the periscope. So, we're going to take the clone trooper here, and we're just going to put him in the top. That already looks a little bit odd there. Really, is it maybe that tall? Yeah. So he goes in there. Now the periscope is an interesting way of working at times. Try to get him in there. He doesn't always want to go in 100%. You have to be quite careful when sitting him down. There we go. It's kind of in there, and essentially the way it works is you go in here, and there's bits like that will fall off. I'm not going to cut that out of the review. Again, it's not a perfect set just because it's classic, but you've got this little Technic bit in here, that tan bit you can see where my hand is, and you're going to push that, and he should be able to rise. It does that fairly often. Let me fix that. Alright, take two. So you push up on the tan bar, and it goes up like that, and there you go. Let's lift this off. You got him on his periscope, looking cool. And that brings us to the other feature on the top, which is really just a cannon. So I'm going to review this in the mind that mine is the version with two clone troopers to make things easier. You can take him there, and you can have him operating that gun, which kind of does work. Like I said, it's fragile. It's one of those kind of play features that works semi-decent. I've got some tiling up here and some red parts. Coming down here, though, we have this hatch. Now, the way it works is it's simple. This bit flips up and down. It's kind of those kind of staggered points. You flip it up like this, and that goes up. There's a cannon here which goes right between the wheels. It's convenient. You know, it kind of shoots out. And again, as I said, there are some parts of this set that will just ping off. And I'd imagine kids back in 2005 and 6, whatever, would have lost those parts. This bit keeps falling off. I'm just going to put that to the side for now. Little piece like that. It's all whole pieces there, which, you know, put my finger through, which is a interesting design thing. But inside you can see the structural parts of the set, and let's get into getting some things inside of there. So despite the fact that the instructions and art show it as being used for the battle droids, which we'll show later in the review, this cannon's apparently for clones, so maybe the droids took the whole thing over, because that's what goes inside here. You slide it in just like that, so on those kind of blue transparent pieces. It's not perfect, I did just knock the periscope down there. And you will swivel the cannons inside and flip the thing up. Works perfectly, and you can see push that down. Again, it will come off, it can be problematic, but you got to persist. And there you go, the cannon is inside the turbo tank. Moving along this way, there's nothing behind this section. You can see in there is just structure. It's both structural and the gap. It's the same like most of the set is. That is just what it does. Inside here's a cool thing. It's just something they did back in the day. It's like a hyperdrive, well, maybe not hyperdrive, but it's like an engine. Zoom in there for you guys. That is pretty cool. I do like that. The fact they would put in those details, because modern Lego Star Wars sets don't actually do things like that. You know, show you guys the engines and stuff on something. And, you know, just flip that back up. And by the way, it is the same on both sides for all the things that I am showing off, just in case anybody's wondering. And, you know, that bit I showed you where you put the cannon, if you felt like it, you probably could convert that into a troop bay. Not something I would personally do, but I'm just a purist that way. And coming up to the back end here, we have the back of the turbo tank. And there's all the debate is what ends the back and what is the front. I consider the bigger end the front. That's just me. You've got this cannon on top here that can, you know, swivel around, and it can go up and down. Quite a sturdy cannon. You lift that up, and again, I've not opened this up in a long time, so I'm expecting the dust. But that folds down like that, and they're not really connected at this end point. And yeah, by the way, I did just cut the camera to clean the inside of this. So this front bit here has 2 seats. It's the most seating you really get in the turbo tank. You can put people on the top, I suppose. There is no way in this set really for holding weapons. I mean, there's an idea you could stuck like lightsabers and blasters onto the exposed Technic tops. So you take the window like that. You could have him in there, just adjust the cape. Again, I'm primarily using this version. It's in my review. You know, the set came with both versions, but that version's just a bit easier to use. And, you know, taking one of the clone troopers, you put him there, fold it up nice and easy, and that's your turbo tank kind of loaded and ready to go. Like I said, you don't get the greatest amount of clone troopers in this. Battle packs were not a thing in 2005, so like this, the gunship and the ATTE that had all come out by that point didn't really have a way of building the army up of things to go with it, I suppose, unless you bought individuals. And the thing I'm talking about for weapons, if you felt the need to store them, is you got these exposed tops here. You could simply take the lights and break that, because that's just how you do it, and stick it in there would be my suggestion, to be honest. That is broke so many times throughout the review, that is nuts. But yeah, it works really well, and in a way, if you really wanted to, you could use that in a, you know, as a troop bay. So test that, we'll take this clone trooper. Like, yeah, you could probably get a couple clones in there if you're creative enough, along with the turret, and, you know, you'd still be able to close the thing up, you know, lift this up like that, push that. Again, it can occasionally shift itself, but it is a really good model all in all. Let's look at the instructions. And what a sight 2005 instructions are. So like I said, mine is a V2 version of the set. So there is the one dude with the normal lightsaber and the extra clone trooper there who has no blaster, weirdly enough. And got the scout trooper on the spear, like that wonderful Kashyyyk art there. Got that cannon, which is what I'm talking about. You see the droid with the cannon, and the cannon's pointing at the turbo tank. Got that droid with that cannon there. Got the brilliant Vader. I'm trying to show it here. We've got the brilliant Vader art up in the corner. Some trees on Kashyyyk. Absolutely brilliant. Gonna open it a random page, as we so often do. And you're building the spear bike. Gotta love that kind of orange haze and stuff. Like, This is back when instruction manuals, like, they even put the effort into those. I suppose, yeah, you could put the blasters there. I kind of forgot to show that. Well done, me. But the really cool part of these retro instructions, at least for me, is this. Oh, and by the way, I should also briefly mention, they didn't have to, but they even went back and changed the instructions to reflect the extra clone trooper at the end of the instructions, and the fact that it's a regular version of Mace Windu, which I thought was kind of cool. Oh yeah, and they're also showing you where to put that. But you know what's even cooler than that? This page right here. So this is basically a big advertisement for LEGO Star Wars in 2005. And this page is for the Revenge of the Sith release sets. And in here there's some pretty cool stuff. Some of which I've already done reviews and got upcoming reviews on. We've got Anakin, Starfighter, and Vulture Droid Vader's transformation, which I will be doing. The Arc-170, which I may well be doing as well. Ultimate Lightsaber Duel. The Droid Tri-Fighter. The Turbo Tank, which you're watching a review on, which it depicts the version, this version with the regular Windu. Clone Scout Walker, I've already reviewed that. Wookiee Catamaran, and you got the Battle of Kashyyyk there, or Wookiee Attack rather, and Grievous Chase. So any other classic ads in here? Just Lego Club stuff, and obviously at the back in the instructions we've got an ad for Lego Star Wars the video game, which, wow, that is a 20-year-old game now. And here it is. I'm happy to have finally knocked this one off the review list. 7261 is a brilliant set, and honestly, I would not be surprised if this set is now worth more because of the new Turbo Tank, because if you guys have seen the new one for this year, it's not that great. I have also reviewed the one from 2010, I think maybe a year or two ago, and I do plan maybe, perhaps grabbing 2016 along with the 2025 and doing one big video of these, but anyway, do I recommend this set? 100%. Yeah, there's two different versions of the minifigures you get, but either way, you won't be disappointed. It's like, it depends. Do you want a light-up Windu, or would you rather have a regular clone and non-light-up? Personally, I go for the non-light-up, purely because it just looks a bit better, and don't get me wrong, I do love the light-up versions of minifigures, they're cool too, but something about getting that extra clone trooper. I give this set a 10 out of 10. Absolutely love this set. I mean, yeah, it'd been cool to maybe get an extra minifigure to go up against this. But I just, like, for what it is, this set, yeah, it looks-wise, you can tell it's an older set, but it's something brilliant about this one. You can tell LEGO poured as much effort as humanly possible into this set, and it really shows. So, next week, well, there'll be another review. I'm not going to tell you what that set is yet, but trust me, it'll be another really old classic. I'll see you there. Thanks for watching.